right, good day and welcome to the bee yard, the wicked bee yard at Goats Beer Homestead. I am Andre, and on behalf of Lane County Beekeepers Association, today we're going to learn how to install nukes. Okay, so today we are installing nukes. It's pretty exciting. You're getting your first colony or your second colony or your 8th colony or whatever it is, and you are going to be installing your nuke. It is probably the easiest thing you're going to do in beekeeping, and it is super fun and super exciting. So we always love doing it. Beekeeping is probably the only culture or subculture where we get excited and there's positivity surrounded by the word nuke. Anyway, so today what we're going to do is we're going to learn about what you need to install a nuke, how to actually install a nuke, and what do you do after you got everything put into your box. And that is our lesson for today. So let's start right with what do we need? A few things. You will obviously need a hive body. So a roof, a lid, telescoping cover, an inner cover. You're also going to need a box. It's likely 99% you are going to need a deep box. You also need a screened bottom board or a solid bottom board or whatever you choose. And then obviously, very important, you're also going to need 5 frames. And I'll talk about in a few minutes here your strategies for, do you want waxed frames like drawn comb frames, or do you want bare or frames with foundation on them? So, but you're gonna need 5 frames, okay? Outside of the hive parts that you need, you're gonna want and need a hive tool. You're gonna need a smoker. You can watch our tutorial on smoking. You are definitely going to need some 1-to-1 ratio sugar syrup, nectar, aka nectar, to get them off the ground, and some sort of feeding mechanism. For me, I do all my feeding inside the hive with buckets, and I'll just go over that real briefly as we get through that. Optional, depending on time of year and how you're feeling, you may want an entrance reducer, but I don't. So something you may want. And of course, some PPE. Bees in a nuke hive, you know, you don't know them, they're not your bees, you don't know how they're going to act, and plus they've been riding around in your Prius or in the back of your truck, so they may not be feeling so good. So let's do this. We'll get going here and we'll get our nuke installed. All right, so here we are, we're going to install our nuke. Now, it's really important that when you get home with your nuke, that you put it in the place where the hive is going to eventually be. I usually put it on top of the bottom board. And you want to probably wait 10-15 minutes to let them chill out before you open the entrance. After about 10 or 15 minutes, open up that entrance, maybe puff a little smoke in the area just to, you know, chill the pheromones out a little bit. Let them orient, you know, they'll be doing some orientation flying and just getting used to the new location. Let them do that for, you know, an hour or whatever, but it's very important that no matter what, when you get home with your nuke, that you install it within 24 hours, rain or shine. We're very lucky to have this crazy, beautiful April day here. So I will talk through just a couple quick things and then basic installation here. Now, as I said before, I'm choosing blank frames. It's the 3rd week of April here. We have quite a ways to go before nectar flow and through nectar flow. So I want to give these bees something to do. So I'm going to give them comb to draw. Now, if you get your nuke at a different time of year, say mid to the end of May, you may actually want to put in drawn comb if you have it, so that queen can really just start pounding out the eggs and you build up that colony super fast. For me, I am looking ahead. I don't want them to swarm. I don't want to have to deal with you know, swarm mitigation in any way. So I'm going to just give them a job, which is to draw some beautiful, nice, fresh comb. It will also allow you to get out that kind of nasty, haggard, looking old, scrubby, brood comb that's hard to see and just gross. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I'm going to use. Now listen, there's 2 different ways that you can install your nuke. We have the very simple method where you pull them out frame by frame. So you take your 5 frames, you would put 3 on one side, and then essentially after 2 on the other side, and you'll put the nuke in frame by frame and then put in your 9th and 10th frame at the end. That is method one. Let's call that the simple method. The pretty kind of simple method, which is method two, would be to, as you go in your nuke, put 2 frames in, go in your nuke, find the honey frame, put the honey frame against the 2 blank frames, and then the next frame over from the honey frame also be a blank frame. So you will have the honey frame in position 8, and then in position 7 or frame 7 you'll have a blank, and then you'll put all the frames in order, and then you'll put in 2 blanks on the other side. And the reason for that, if you put the honey frame in position 8, it's going to encourage and it's going to draw the bees out, and they're going to start drying out the wax on that empty frame that's in between the brood's nest and the honey frame. So those are the 2 basic methods. Now, as you go through, you want to make sure that you have a queen. Now, you may not be very good at queen spotting, or she may be hard to find. So just make sure that you have fresh eggs. Now, if you do not know what a fresh egg is, it's described as a little piece of rice that's sticking up, and it should be sticking up straight. So you can look at the picture and you can see what a fresh egg looked like. So if you see fresh eggs, you know you have a queen. The queens will also be likely unmarked. I'll go through a tutorial later on how to mark a queen, but I'm going to just let them be. They've had a long day. They've been in a box. They're probably feeling a little hot, feeling a little spicy, not so happy with the ride up my gravel road with all the bumps and everything. So we're going to just get them in the box here. But we want to take our time and look at every frame. So we're going to take a moment and look at each frame and just see if we can see the queen, but make sure that you have fresh eggs. That's queen sign. You know you have a queen, and then you're good to go. So we're going to get them in the box. Then we're going to put the box on the bottom board. Then we're going to put our inner cover on, and then I'm going to put a feeding unit on top of this, and I'll box them up, and your nuke is installed. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is they've oriented to the space. Okay, I'm going to give some puffs of smoke on the front, maybe in the entrance, and a little puff in the back where there's some holes in the corrugated. And then I'm going to put my smoker away. Okay, and then we're going to open up this nuke hive. Now you want to be really careful. You don't know if they've shuffled around in there during transport. And again, they probably will not be happy. If you notice early in this tutorial, I had on, you know, minimal PPE. And I got the feeling that these bees were not feeling so amazing about Andre. So I decided to, you know, put on a little proper PPE here. So we're gonna go in here and we're gonna pull them out frame by frame. Maybe I wanna give them a little light smoke on the top just to get them off the top of the frames. Okay, so I'm going to push this frame in from the edge just so I can get it out of there. Okay, and you just want to be very gentle when handling them. They've had a rough day, but they are about to move into your backyard or your apiary. Now, I'm feeling this frame. It's pollen. I see a little bit of larva, and I'm seeing capped honey on one side. So what I am going to do is I am going to go to position or frame 7, and I am going to put this in with the pollen facing towards the inside of the brood's nest. Okay? I'm going to push that frame over, and then I'm going to put a blank in between. This is going to be the method that I'm going to use today. Again, you could just put all 5 frames right in the middle. So we'll go for the next frame here, frame 2. I'm just scanning very quick for old Queenie. And then we have a beautiful capped brood frame right there. That looks fantastic. Again, I'm not looking super hard for old queen. I'm looking in the open cells, and I do see eggs. So fresh eggs, that says to Andre, yo dog, we good to go. So I'm gonna just put that in. Again, as you put these in, you want the frames, the side of the frames to be touching one another. Okay, you don't want to leave space in between your frames. They'll propolize it, and by the end of summer or the end of spring, you will not be able to even get a frame back in there. And we get to our last frame here. Now be careful, they'll be propolized or sticking to the edges here. And this looks like more open brood to me. Okay, so I'll take out these two frames. Get our frame in here. And there we go, that's frame 2 and frame 1. Okay, now you're gonna see, she just stung me. You're gonna see you have a bunch of bees in the box. I'm gonna just look in there to make sure the old queenie ain't in there. And there she is. So here she is. She's got a blue dot on her, which is for the year 2025. She's right here on top. You can see these bees are now giving her a little retinue. Okay, here we are in the last phases here of installation. I'm gonna just shake these bees in the box, so I'm just gonna pound them down to one side here and then dump them in. You of course do not have to do that. I'm gonna then give them a few puffs of smoke to get them to go down inside, and then we will put an inner cover here on. Now again, make sure your frames are good to go. The last thing is you want to make sure that you are feeding them. So I'm going to feed them a half gallon here in 1 second. Okay, now that I have them dialed in here, they are ready to go. We are pretty much installed. I'm going to get my feeder shims ready. I just used broken, sorry girl, broken in half paint stir sticks, and then I have a half gallon of syrup here. I'm gonna just dump in my bucket. Okay, now what I have here is a lid with some really fine hardware cloth that I've infused with a little heat. I'm gonna just put it on top of this, and then I'm gonna have a bucket for my tipping it over and catching the stuff, and then I'm gonna push, and it's got a vacuum going, and she is good to go. So at this point, you just want to close up your hive. Your nuke is installed, and it's that time, y'all ready to roll. So that's basic nuke installation. Give you 2 methods for doing it. Just do make sure that you're feeding them. Make sure, you know, once you have a moment, you're feeling a little more comfortable, that you get in there and try to find the old queen. Mine is just queen sign. It was pretty weird, man. She was up here on the tape. So, you know, they do some funky stuff. The old queenie was. So she finally went down in the box. I just picked her up by her wings and dropped her in. That's something that maybe you don't want to do quite yet. Practice on drones, but we'll get there. So we got our feeder on. Let's box it up. Your nuke is installed. This is Andre for the Lane County Beekeepers Association. The basics of nuke installation. Good luck and happy bee farming.